Push P. Yeah, push P. Turn me up. Turn me up, P. Corners in the paddock, get my piece. Push P. Cop new hammers for my P.
Hello, wonderful people of YouTube. This is Cree Cree. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. I truly appreciate it. So yeah, let's get into it. I want to talk about this Katt Williams situation, y'all. I want to get into it. I got to talk about it. Let's talk about Katt. Let's talk about Katt. So, most of you all that know me, that's listening to this, know that I'm definitely going to have some things to say about it. For those that don't know, I'll pretty much explain all of that to you. So I'm not going to waste no time going into everything about the interview. I know most of y'all, if not all of y'all, have probably seen this interview already. And I just want to get on here because I've been, of course, reading the comments, reading what people have been saying. Oh, Katt just telling stories. Oh, he's doing this for clout. He want attention because his career is dead and all that. That's crap. It's crap. It's crap. It's crap. Everything Katt Williams said in that podcast, I believe him 100%. I believe everything that he said because it's stuff that I have heard and have actually witnessed and seen myself. Most of you all don't know me, and I ain't nobody. I don't even know why I'm even talking like that. But there was a point in my life when I was very much involved and very much in the comedy scene. That world was a huge part of my life at one point, and it's largely due to the fact that I was married to a comedian. My first husband, whose name was Jay Jackson, he was a comedian. Been a comedian for about 10 years, almost 10 years. And through him, I saw and I met a lot of people, and I saw a lot of things myself. And I know he ain't lying. None of that he said was news to me because this is stuff that I've been seeing and hearing about for 20 years. At this point, all the stuff about joke stealing and cutting somebody else down so you can get on top, that's nothing new. Man, they've been doing that. They've been doing that for so long. I've heard for years about Steve and Sid and even DL and all them that they're no stranger to stealing other people's jokes. The new and up and coming comedians, when they in these small town clubs and in open mics, a lot of these bigger comedians will come there, and the smaller comedians are thinking that, oh, well, such and such here, let me show him my best jokes and maybe I'll get my big break. And that's not even the case at all. That is so far from the truth, because a lot of these bigger comedians are looking at the small time comedians and seeing what jokes they got so they can go and tell them jokes on stage themselves. And will openly admit and say it to that comedian in front of their face that, hey, I can steal your joke, and once I go and tell it on stage or tell it on TV, it's automatically mine. And what you gonna do? You ain't gonna sue me. You can't sue me for it. So I mean, that ain't nothing new. And if I can be frank, if I can be real, Katt kind of did that too, because he did that with one of my husband's jokes, with one of Jay's jokes. He did with one of his. I don't even know if he realized it. We never put it out there or anything like that, but he did it to him too. The entertainment industry as a whole is very cutthroat, is very demonic, is very dog eat dog. A lot of times, the stuff that Katt said about roles that he intentionally passed up because there were things that they wanted him to do that he wasn't willing to do, and somebody else was, and other people was. And that's true, because in the industry, a lot of times the executive and the producers, they want to know how bad do you want it? How far are you willing to go to get this role or to get this part or to make this money? And if you willing to do some shady or some not so Christian like things to do that, it's gonna be done. And I've heard for many years, for decades now, of certain people that's had to do that. I ain't gonna put them out there like that, because I ain't Katt Williams. I ain't got his power or his money, but but I know it's true. And the way that the media has tried to destroy Katt Williams' character and his reputation and ultimately tried to blackball him, I know that's because he didn't want to, or he wasn't willing to play that Hollywood game. You know how Lee Daniels had told that to Monique, when he told Monique that she got blackballed because she didn't want to play the game. That's true. That's all Hollywood is. Hollywood is a big game. It's a big money game, and whoever got the most money is going to determine how successful you going to be in this game. You got to be willing to put in and put up with a lot if you want to be a part of this game. You want to play in this game, you want to play these roles, and you want to make this money, you're going to have to put up something. If it ain't money, you're going to have to put up something. Y'all gotta remember, 20 years ago, Katt Williams was everywhere. And he appealed to everybody. Everybody loved him. Black folks, white folks, Asians, Latinos, everybody loved him. Once he did that role in Friday After Next where he played Money Mike, there was no stopping him. He was on TV shows, he was on movies, he was doing interviews everywhere, he was doing features on different people's albums, like he was on Youngblood's album, Ludacris' album, Lil' Kim's album. I mean, he was in demand everywhere. And then all of a sudden, in I want to say like maybe around 2009, once the word got out that him and Steve Harvey had beef, and then, you know, at that point, Steve Harvey's radio show was everywhere and went national, and, you know, him and nephew Tommy was just dogging him out and putting him on blast and talking about how much of a joke that he was. And I'm gonna say pretty much from that point, it almost kind of went downhill, because it seemed like that we wasn't seeing him on TV as much no more. And then next thing you know, a couple of years after that, he kept getting arrested, and he was constantly in the news for not so good things. And then it kind of did look like that he was having a bad moment. I'd say probably maybe around 2011, 2012. It didn't really seem like that same, you know, that same fire that he had only just years prior, just all of a sudden just started to go out. And I know for a fact that a lot of that had to do with the beef that he had with Steve and Sid and all them, because yeah, they had more of the money and they had more of the power. And when you got money and power, you can play that game. You play that Hollywood game very well. Y'all sitting up here talking about Katt Williams need clout. He need attention. Oh, he just doing it for what? No, he don't. He don't need none of that. He don't need none of that. Even after all these years, he don't need any of that. He is still selling out shows. He's still touring. People still buying his comedy DVDs or whatever, and he don't need to do all that. Y'all giving him that clout and that attention. He don't need all that. I mean, at this point, I can tell. You can pretty much tell when somebody's lying. I mean, if you notice the pattern in all of these celebrities that's being exposed or being told on or being blasted in the media, if it was really a lie, wouldn't these said exposees be coming out with receipts proving their case? And nobody has done that. Seems like every time a celebrity gets exposed and that exposure gains traction and everybody is talking about it in the blogs and in the comments, what they do, they get online, they deny. All these allegations are baseless. They not true. Oh, the person that's doing this, they're delusional. They're on drugs. They just trying to get attention because their career stalling, But ain't nobody coming with no receipts. If somebody is lying on me, if somebody's saying some shit about me that ain't true, you best believe I'm going to come with receipts. I'm going to prove that you're a liar. Nobody has done that. Nobody's done that to Katt. Ain't nobody did that to Monique. Ain't nobody did that to Orlando Brown. Ain't nobody did that to Jaguar Wright. Everybody talk about, oh, they crazy. Oh, they on drugs. Ain't nobody did that to Dave Chappelle. None of them. All this stuff that all of these people are saying, they all can't be lying. If 10 people is saying the same exact thing about that one person, we all of them can't be lying. They can't be lying. I've heard so much stuff about Steve Harvey. And this is even going back to even when he had his TV show about what a horrible person he is. and how he ain't got no problem coming and stealing your joke and then telling you to your face that he's stealing your joke. I've heard this from more than one person. Way before Katt just did this interview. So I'm like, you telling me everybody lying? All these people that done said something lying? Hell nah, man. No, not at all. All these said individuals that everybody's saying is crazy and delusional and they're making up stuff and making baseless allegations, that's because they didn't want to play that Hollywood game. They didn't want to play the game. They wanted to do it the right way. And of course, when you not want to play the Hollywood game that the way Hollywood want to play it, then yeah, you gonna get the short end of that stick. You gonna be looked at like you crazy, and they gonna make everybody believe that you're crazy, just like y'all are doing right now. At this point, Katt has nothing to gain from lying. What he got to lie for? He ain't suing nobody. He ain't trying to get no money from nobody. What he got to lie for? But if you gonna sit up here and tear down my name and been doing it for all these years, you think at some point I'm not gonna come back and you think I ain't gonna come back and say something? Hell no. I knew that once he got on Shannon Sharp, he already had his agenda. He already knew what he was gonna do. Shannon Sharp didn't have to do anything except say, "Hey, Katt, how you doing?" And Katt just went off, took that first gulp of that cognac and just let him go. He had some stuff to say. That was some stuff that had been pent up for a very long time. Now, as I said before, my first husband was a comedian. His name was Jay Jackson. His stage name at that time was just Jay. Now I know you're asking, well, have we seen him on anything? Has he done anything? What has he done? Unfortunately, you probably have not seen him because he passed away before he could really get his career going off the ground. But in the time that he was doing comedy, he met and done shows with a lot of people. Katt Williams was one of those people. He's done a lot of shows with Katt Williams. I can almost guarantee that if he was still here today, he would have been on the road with him, doing shows with him. I have no doubt about that. If he was still here, I'll guarantee you he would be a household name. Y'all would know his name. But like I said, unfortunately, he left here before he could really get the career off the ground like he really wanted to. He died in 2010, so this was like right before blowing up on the internet really became a thing. But becoming internet famous, it wasn't really a thing yet. And I can remember the day, I can remember when we first met Katt. I can remember it like it was yesterday. This is something I will never in my life ever forget. The year was 2003. This was basically right on the heels of Friday at the Next. Friday at the Next had, been out for quite a few months at that point, and Katt had blew up. He was touring and doing shows everywhere, and he had started making his way on TV and things like that. And he was coming here to do a show. Back in the day, we had a comedy club here in Kansas City called Sanford & Sons. And he was there to do a show. So when Jay first heard about it, he called up to the radio station. Because at this point, Jay was a huge fan of Katt Williams. Pretty much ever since we seen Friday at the Next, Katt had kind of become his idol. And he started studying him and looking at his style of comedy, which he did with everybody. Because I remember like his top 3 favorite comedians back then was Katt Williams, Bernie Mac, and Dave Chappelle. And so when Katt Williams came into town, or was coming into town, I remember the day that he had his show, Jay called up to the radio station to try to talk to him, just to rap to him. Not necessarily trying to get free tickets, but if we got free tickets, then hey, we ain't gonna say no. But he talked to him, and I believe this actually happened on air, on the radio, when he was just like, hey, I've been following your career. I think you dope. What kind of advice do you have for, a young up and coming comedian like myself? Because I could say at this time, this is 2003. Jay was maybe, he was 19. He was 19 years old. He was still young and still trying to make it and still trying to make his mark out here. And Jay asked me, what kind of advice do you have for somebody like me? And Katt, with no hesitation, was like, I'm gonna give you a couple of free tickets. And you can come to my show, and then after show, you can come backstage and then we can talk. I'll get you the game. And that's what he did. As we did with no hesitation. So that night, me and Jay went to the club, went to Sanford and Sons to go see the show. And then after the show, we took a picture with him. And God, I'm so mad I don't have that picture no more, because we took a picture with him, took us back to his dressing room. They began to have a conversation. Well, I'm in the background. I'm sitting, over the corner, just watching all of this unfold and looking at Jay's face and how elated and ecstatic that he was to be talking to somebody that he actually admired and looked up to. And they had a conversation. And I remember Katt asking him, like, well, how long have you been doing comedy? At that point, he had only been doing comedy maybe 2 or 3 years. It was probably about 3 years at that point. And he asked him, well, what kind of shows have you, what kind of shows do you do? When was the last time you did a show? And, at that point, I mean, it's Kansas City. So I'm like, ain't a lot of people coming to Kansas City, at least not back then. Wasn't a lot of people coming here like that. He may have been able to do a feature at some hole in the wall club, or opening up for a comedian that was probably hot on Comic View that we ain't seen since then. Maybe a show here, a show there, once a month or anything like that. And Katt told him, he's like, well, son, you kind of bullshitting. You BSing right now. If you try to be a real comedian, you need to be out here every day. You need to be finding who got a comedy show going on, who got an open mic night, who got a comedy room, and you need to be there front and center every day working on your craft. Told him that being on stage is like working out in the gym. You got to go every day. You got to get up there and grind every day if you want to be the best at it. You can't be the best comedian. You can't be the best that you aspiring to be if you only doing a show once every few months. You got to get out there every day. And that's exactly what he did. He took heed to that advice. And that's exactly what he did. He tried to find out who had the open mic nights, who had the comedy rooms. There were people that had comedy rooms every week. Sanford and Sons was doing an open mic, I think like every Monday or Tuesday or something like that. And he started to go. Anybody that was having some kind of comedy or some kind of, it don't even have to be comedy, any kind of show, he would try to get on there and try to do comedy. He did not care. He took Katt's advice and did exactly what he told him to do. And I'm not going to say that they developed a friendship, but they definitely was in the beginnings of maybe starting to have like a working relationship. They definitely were cordial to each other. And from that point on, anytime Katt came in and did a show here, Jay would hit him up because he had his phone number. Jay would hit him up, or he would hit up his assistant, which I believe her name, if I'm not mistaken, I believe her name was Leah. He would hit up Leah and say, hey, I want to know if I could do a 5-minute set, a 5-minute or a 10-minute set, just to open up for him. And Katt had no problem with it. Katt let him do it. I want you to go out there, I want you to prove yourself, I want to see what you made of. And he went out there and killed it. And he would kill it each and every time. And I remember the last few times that Jay opened up for Katt actually paid him money out of his own pocket. Wasn't a lot, maybe a couple of $100, $200-$300, just to show him some love and just, say, hey, I appreciate you wanting to come out here and grind. You proving yourself, taking my advice, and you proving yourself like I told you to do. And like I said, Katt was just so cool. He wasn't that arrogant, delusional monster that everybody in the media is now painting him out to be. That was not him at all. He was the most coolest, chillest, down-to-earth person. It was like, it didn't even feel like that we were even talking to a celebrity. It just feel like talking to a big brother that's trying to put you up on game on stuff. That's what it was with him. He wasn't all Hollywood and all that. Not like these other comedians was. I remember when Jay tried to do that same thing when Sid came into town. And Sid kind of just brushed him off. Mike Epps came into town. Mike Epps brushed him off. Kevin Hart. Matter of fact, he did shows with Kevin Hart. Like in the beginning, like we knew Kevin Hart back when he was only known for being that nigga on Soul Plane. Before he became who he has now become. And back then, Kevin Hart was humble. And he had opened opened up for him a few times, but then, you know, once that star power started to rise, when Kevin Hart would come in town, then, you know, then he started acting all, I already got somebody opening for me and you know, try to act like he ain't know him. But Katt never did that. Katt was always cool. Katt was always cool. He was always humble. And that's the Katt that I remember. That's the Katt that I know. And the fact that he came out of his own pocket to pay him for his time and his service, ain't no comedians doing that. Ain't no celebrities doing that. But the fact that he did that, like I said, to me, you can't say nothing bad about Katt Williams to me. You can't. Because like I said, he always been cool. He always been humble. Jay would be turning over in his grave right now if he was to see the result of everything that's happened, especially over these past 10 years. Him being in and out of jail, constantly getting arrested, constantly being in the news for something, being looked at as crazy, or like he on drugs, or he a crackhead. Nah, man, that's not him. That's not him. I don't know him like that. It's not like we had a very, very close personal relationship, but from the times that I did meet him in like maybe that span of about 5 or 6 years, it's always been love. Always been love. Everything that Katt said, I believe it 100% because it's stuff that we've heard from so many people. I've heard everything that he said. I have heard it from more than one person. This goes back 20 years ago that we started hearing all this stuff. You know, I can't get into everything that I've heard, but it's been some very, very juicy stuff. Like I can say one thing, like I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that Kevin Hart is a woman beater. I don't know if that's true, but I've heard it. Like I said, if Katt's lying, if Orlando Brown is lying, if Jaguar Wright is lying, if Dave Chappelle is lying, if all these people is lying, then some receipts need to be shown. If I'm lying, prove I'm lying. You can't do that, then I don't know what else to tell you. But I believe him 100%. Let me know what y'all think. That's all I'm gonna say for right now. We've been talking about it for the past 2-3 days. I said what I had to say. So thank you so much for listening. If you made it this far, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share. Let's talk about it, and I'll see y'all next time. My name's Cree Cree. Y'all be easy.